Hey, this is Becky Rogers.
And I'm Deanna Cole.
And we are Not Quite Supermoms. And today's podcast episode, we wanted to actually refer back to one of our blog posts. If you have never read our blog, we hope that's an encouragement to you. If you wanted to go over to notquitesupermoms.wordpress.com, you'll find we have lots of blog posts. Sometimes they're just little snippets of things we feel like God puts on our hearts. Other times it's like really long, and some of them are fun, some of them are serious, whatever. But we'd love to know your thoughts on those. And today's episode is about the blog, where we talk about 5 things that your mom friends actually need from you. And, we give to a lot of people. Like, our kids constantly need stuff from us. And our husbands need stuff, and sometimes our moms need stuff, or our friends or whatever, but your friends need stuff from you, and it's actually not as hard as you think. It's not going to stress you out. These aren't terrible things. They need a whole meal brought to them tonight. No, we're not talking like that. Although that's super sweet. If you ever wanted to do that for your friends, that's good too. But, just a quick word of encouragement. That's really the first thing is, just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you, or, whatever. Just a quick word of encouragement can mean a lot. And I talked about it in the blog, how something I said to somebody recently really resonated with them. And I don't even remember what I said. But they told me later, weeks later, that it was a huge turning point for them in their life. And I had no idea. I was just greeting them on a Sunday morning at church. So you just never know what moms need, you know?
That's kind of the way it works too. Like you may not think anything of it, giving that encouragement to somebody, but it could mean a whole lot and something they really needed at that time in their life, So if you're thinking of something encouraging towards that person, just say it, you know? It can't hurt. And I love getting encouragement from people. It definitely like text messages and messages on Facebook, because I was telling Becky, I can be looking at your face sometimes and not really be listening to what you're saying. So I'm like, did she really say this? So it's good to have the messages, because I can look back and I can, it's a good reminder, that encouragement is there for me to read and, get me through the day sometimes. Becky's really good at being an encouragement. She's actually brought things to I work at a school, and she's brought things for me there. And I wish she could see my face, because I look like a little kid on Christmas.
Yeah, I never get to see her. I just bring it to the office, and I'm sure they're like, "What is she doing?"
But that feeling of getting a Starbucks drink or just a card at school, it's so nice, And I am not naturally encouraging like that. I don't, think to do things, but it's so wonderful. Like when that does happen, and it encourages me to do the same thing for others.
To pay it forward.
Yeah, to pay it forward. Yeah. We don't discount how great an encouraging word can be to a friend.
Yeah.
It is.
And it helps you too. It feels good. It feels good to me to hear her say that it was an encouragement to her, you know, because it means like, oh yes, like this is good. It makes me happy. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I am reluctant to give encouragement or to say something nice that I think about somebody, because I think, well, they don't need to hear that from me.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Or I think, they're an experienced mom. They have it all together. Again, another lie from the enemy that we all think each other has it together. But, just looking at somebody and thinking they don't need to know that they're a great mom, because they have kids that are much older than me, and they're not going to take it from me as meaning anything, because I still have little kids. And so what does that even mean? It's nothing. It's not as worth as much. But the truth is, we don't know what that mom is going through.
Yeah.
And maybe it is worth something for her to hear that she's doing a great job, and that those of us who do have younger kids are looking up to her and saying, I want my kids to be like that, and that can be a huge encouragement to her. I know for me, it doesn't matter. I look at moms who have little babies, and I think they're doing a great job. And if I think that, I need to say it.
Say it. Because we think, I think people see a side of us that we don't see ourselves, right? We're so hard on ourselves all the time, and we always think, or at least I am, like, oh, I didn't do this right, or I didn't do that good. That's that negative thinking coming in there. We got to, arrest it.
Yes, exactly.
But other people look at us differently, and we need to hear that. We need to hear how other people see us, because that's probably more true than what we tell our own selves, right?
Yes, that's exactly the truth.
And even though it's hard to accept encouragement sometimes, or to accept maybe compliments or something, we need to take that. It's something,
and believe it.
Believe
it's true, because even if it might not have meant much to the person who said it, internalize it, because they could be being used by God to share that encouragement with you. And if it's, you're hearing it from this other mom's lips, or you're hearing it from a friend's lips, but just imagine that it's your Heavenly Father saying it to you, because it really is. Yeah. And a lot of times.
And they said it for a reason,
Yeah, exactly. They had to have meant some part of it.
Right. I don't just throw my compliments out freely, okay? Right. If I said it, I meant it.
When you really, really mean it.
Right.
But yeah, just if you're thinking of a mom right now, pause this episode and text her, or Facebook message her, or Instagram her, or something, and just let her know you're thinking of her, because it might just be the thing that's going to get her through her day.
Yeah.
But another thing that moms need from each other is that don't give up on me attitude. We can sometimes isolate ourselves, and we kind of just put ourselves on the back burner, our own needs and our own wants and our own desires. And part of that's good and normal for being a mom. But a lot of that breeds loneliness. And sometimes it's more comfortable to be in that lonely place than it is to just step out of ourselves and go hang out, or accept an invitation, or reply to a text message, or get on the phone and put the effort in for a few minutes to invest in a relationship, in a friendship with another mom. I know it's crazy. I was just talking to my friend who was my maid of honor in my wedding, and we talked on the phone for an hour just a couple weeks ago. It has been, I'm ashamed to say, it has been years since we've actually had that long of a conversation. Once in a while, a little Facebook comment or whatever, and that's been the extent of our friendship. But really, just talking to her on the phone that day, it was just like picking up an old hat and putting it back on. It was just amazing. It was just, that friendship hasn't changed. But the truth is, I could have invested so much more of myself. I just don't always have the energy. And I know she's tired too. She's got 3 kids under 5, I think it is. Ooh. And she's got her hands full, and they're adorable. But it's so hard to find the energy sometimes to put into relationships. Maybe it's money. Maybe we just can't accept invitations because, and I've been there too, and I talk about it in the blog, just how there have been times when we couldn't afford the gas money to go hang out with friends, or coffee, or whatever it might be. But your mom friend needs you to not give up on her, and my friend, she didn't give up on me. And like I said, talking to her on the phone was just like the old days. We might as well have been 20 again, and hanging out and talking in our dorm room because we were roommates. But anyway.
Yeah. I definitely have needed people to invite me, because I feel like, I wrote down here, I'm a hermit. Like, I would stay in my house, I would be super happy to just, spend a whole week in the house and not even leave it. And, that's not healthy. But, I don't like to talk on the phone and stuff. Some people are like that,
Right.
I'll text you all day long, but, when somebody calls me, I'm like, who is this? What do you want? What do you need?
What's your emergency?
Right. But it's nice to be invited. And even though I may complain the whole, to my husband,
right.
like, I don't want to go. Right. once I am there, I have so much fun. And,
Right.
Fellowshipping with moms and friends who are kind of going through the same thing as you is so amazing. And
Right.
I told Becky it's kind of like going to the gym, like you don't want to go and you dread it sometimes.
Right.
But once you're there, you're like, look at me, I'm getting healthy.
Yes.
And this is, it's kind of how it is when you get together with your friends and you build those relationships.
Right.
It's healthy for you. It's good for you.
Right. So if you have a mom friend and you have texted her and she hasn't responded, or you've invited her to something and she hasn't come, don't give up on her. She needs you to not give up. She might be in a season where it's really hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been in those seasons. Maybe you are the one in that season and you know what I'm talking about, that you need your friends to not give up on you. So if you're a mom, don't give up on your friends. And even if all you have time for is a quick text message, send it. Invest in those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the seasons will pass, or we'll come out of those seasons, and we'll be able to spend and invest more energy in our friendships and getting together or whatever. But it doesn't matter. For now, don't give up on them. Don't give up on your friends. And number 3 is kind of like that. It's the invitation one, where it talks about, in the blog, just not giving up on, your friends who aren't taking your invitations.
Yeah.
And like Deanna said, those of us who are kind of introverted, we're going to think of 1,000 reasons why we can't go before we'll say yes. I mean, that's not always true. If you invite me for coffee, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to clear my schedule for that. I love to go have coffee with friends. But there are some things that it's hard for me to get up the energy and say, you know what, I'm going to let the kids be out late, or whatever it might be. I'm going to rearrange our schedule. That's the bottom line. I hate rearranging the schedule. I like the schedule as is. And so if we add something in there, you may have a friend that is just constantly saying no.
Right.
And just don't stop inviting. You don't know all the reasons why. And there could be 1,000 reasons why she can't go. But, if she is introverted, maybe she just needs one more invitation to say, yes, I'll come out of myself today. I have the energy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I'm going to go hang out with my friends, or I'm going to go find a sitter and go to that mom's group, or whatever it might be that you have available to you. Just keep inviting her, because
well, you never know. God could be working in her and really pushing her to get out of her comfort zone. I felt like that a lot of times. Like my sister is a really big social butterfly. She talks to everybody, and I was really never like that. Like even doing this podcast, people, okay? Becky, she asked me to do this, and I was like scared so bad. Like, what? No, I cannot do this.
Turns out you moms are not that scared.
No. But she just kept on, she asked me, and, this is something I would have never done,
right.
But she asked me to do it. She invited me to do it, and I'm so happy that I did, because she's given me encouragement, and hopefully we're giving you guys encouragement. And so, invite them, and you never know what's happening, and God could be pushing them to get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, and, I talk more about it in the blog, but you just never know what you're going to end up finding in common. And turns out there's a lot of moms that feel the same way you do. Whatever it is you're feeling right now, there's another mom out there that feels the same way you do. So just keep inviting them, because you just never know. You're going to end up finding that you are the same in some areas, and it helps to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, it does.
And then the next thing is understanding. And this one is kind of the idea that we are going to eventually have conflict. Just moms, women, anything to do with other people. There's going to be drama at some point. And, as moms, we need understanding from each other. We just need to know that we can believe the best about our friends. Lisa Jo Baker, in her book, Never Unfriended, says, when in doubt, believe the best about your friends. And that's going to be the best advice, probably. regarding different things. You just never know what a mom around you is struggling with that day. And just because she didn't smile back at you doesn't mean she hates you. Or,
right.
I mean, like, there's so many things we immediately come to mind. Like, all these scenarios of what we did wrong, what we said wrong. Right. It's easy to fall into a drama trap, just in our own minds. And
maybe instead of doing that, just say, like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Becky's really good at that. I was really sick, like, the past couple of days, and she's like, what can I do? What can I bring? Tell me.
Something. Because, okay, so this is a little side note. I feel like a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this too, we say, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. Mm-hmm. But to me, if you say that to me, there's no way I'm going to text you. I believe you kind of mean it. At least your intention is really good. But when you show up at my door with soup, then I know you mean it. Yeah. And so but I also know how Deanna is. Mm-hmm. And since she's my friend and I believe the best about her, when she says she really doesn't need anything, she probably doesn't want me showing up at her door. And, so whatever, that's one of those things. Like, I just feel like if you say, let me know if there's anything you can do for me or do for you, then just don't say that. Just show up. Just do something. Just think of anything that would be an encouragement to you during the time that your friend is struggling with and do it. Like, show up. But anyway, she says in her book, believe the best about your friends. And I think that that's probably the best way to summarize that point in the blog is just don't fall into the trap of believing that maybe they actually had some intent towards you and they don't like you anymore, or they're not your friend, or whatever. All of those things that we struggled with as teenagers, we kind of still struggle with as moms. And but just believe the best about your friend. And maybe there's going to be a time where she does actually hurt you, and if that's the case, then take a step back. Ask God to help you take a step back and consider things from her point of view. And it may have seemed like it was intentional. And if that happened, step back and say, what am I missing here? Where have we misunderstood each other? Because, God always offers forgiveness. It's in his nature. He is a forgiving God. And if he's forgiven us from so much, we can absolutely forgive each other. Mm-hmm. Even on the hardest things, the things that hurt our hearts the most, we can forgive because he's forgiven us. And it's not natural. It just isn't. It's not going to be the thing where you close your eyes and you're like, yes, I forgive you. Yeah. It doesn't happen like that. It isn't that easy. It's a matter that we have to bring to our God and ask him to put a spirit of forgiveness in our hearts, because it isn't something in the flesh that we can do ourselves. It just isn't our nature, but it's his nature. Yeah. And if we ask him, he will give us that spirit of forgiveness. And it may not be immediate. We may have to say it and not really mean it at first. Or we may just have to keep turning off those thoughts that want to think badly about our friends. But again, if you give it to God and you ask him for help, he's going to step in and he's going to help change your heart, especially if you're open. If you're open, he will change your heart towards your friends. So believe the best. She needs you too. She needs you too. Last, but definitely not least, is prayer. We all need prayer from each other. Just like going to God for our friends. And I am super guilty. The first people I think of course, my family, and different prayer requests I have, different needs or whatever. But my friends need prayer. And if we look at what we're struggling with or what we've got on our plates this week, we know our mom friends have very similar schedules, very similar loads, burdens that they're carrying. And we can be a huge help to each other just by praying for each other and just let a mom know that you're praying for her. And don't just say it, actually do it, and
right.
We talked about this before, just how it feels so good.
It does feel good when if you're, talking to a friend or about a situation, and they say, well, let's pray right now. Like, that's just the best, and it doesn't happen very often,
Yeah,
it really doesn't. I mean, a lot of people say, well, I'll be praying for you, girl. But how much better if you stop right then? It takes 2 seconds and just stop and pray right then that God would put his hand on the situation and, guide you both through it. It's just awesome. And if maybe it's a text. Becky said she likes to text out prayers for people, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I really do. It's kind of strange. I don't know what prompted me to do it, but a while ago I started just sometimes, if somebody tells me something that they're in need of, or they're praying for something, sometimes I'll just text out what I'm praying to God for them, and I'll type out the whole prayer in a text message so that they know that A, I've actually prayed for them, but B, what I'm actually specifically believing God to do in their lives.
And that's powerful.
And it's just, honestly, like, it helps me, it encourages me, because when the Bible says when 2 or 3 are gathered together, and even if that's as crazy as a text message, but there's 2 people believing the same thing,
right?
And that's where miracles happen, and things change, situations, scenarios, they turn around when we believe together for things. And
it is uncomfortable a lot of times. I don't pray a lot around other people, right. I just don't. Right. And so it can be uncomfortable for yourself, but it's not about you, it's about that friend. And I'm guaranteed they're never going to say like, I really wish she hadn't prayed for me right then.
No, that's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
Exactly.
They need it. And so even though it may feel strange or weird, it might only for the first couple times you do it, and then
right, and then it really is a blessing. And I've had people pray things for me, and I have seen specific things happen, little things that they included in the prayer that at the time didn't really mean very much, but then when those things happened, I can point back and say, you know what? God was hearing and listening, and it happened because that person prayed for this. So one example, when my husband and I were looking to buy a house about a year and a half ago, maybe a little less than a year and a half ago, we were praying for something. We were praying for a house. We were praying for the finances and everything that goes into buying a house. It's such a huge, tedious process. And a friend of mine prayed that we would find a house that we could mark the notches in the walls as the kids grew. Like, that was her prayer, that we would find the house that we could live in for a long time. And that was our heart too, but we never verbalized it that way.
Yeah.
We didn't use those words. And that wasn't necessarily like, what we were searching for when we were looking through realtor ads or whatever, different houses listings. And when we ended up finding the house we live in, and we pulled up and immediately saw that there were 2 posts in the carport, wooden posts. And just a little backstory, my husband grew up, and when he was growing up, his grandmother had a log cabin, and she had a carport with wooden posts as well. And on those posts, she would mark their ages and the years and stuff as they grew. And it was so cool to see as an adult looking back. I could see where my husband had grown, and, his grandma had marked all the different years with permanent marker. It was right there for all the world to see. And my kids even loved looking at that. And as we pulled up and saw those wooden beams in our carport, we looked at each other and we knew that what our friend had prayed for was in the works. It was happening. We were going to have a house that we could mark the notches as our kids grew. And we just recently celebrated a year in our house.
Yay!
And it was such a miracle. The whole story is a whole miracle, really, how we ended up in this house. But we marked the notch for this year, 2017, as our kids, and it was amazing to see how they've grown. But it was a reminder again that what my friend prayed actually happened, and we have a Father who listens, and he loves to hear our prayers, and he especially loves to hear our prayers for each other too. And the Bible says that he's praying over us, and so if we're supposed to be like him, we should be praying for each other too.
Right.
So I hope that this has been an encouragement to you and giving you some ideas of what you can do for your friends. Maybe you're the one who needs this. Share it, and you just never know. Maybe some of your friends will hear it, and they'll show up for you. And I know I have been in the place of need in every single one of these points. I have been there, the one needing it. And then I hope that there have been times that I've been the one giving every single one of those things too. So I hope that this has been a blessing to you. We hope that it's been a blessing, and we hope that you'll share, like, comment, tell us what you think. And we love all of you moms, and we hope that you're having a wonderful day, and we hope this has been a blessing. We'll see you next time. Bye.